ESG is all about evolution and development, and we speak about a journey or a roadmap. What I found useful in my work is explaining the different aspects of ESG leading up to sustainability, sustainable development, and then ultimately net positive impact on a spectrum. Think about it starting from left to right. You start off with shareholder capitalism, which I've explained is the focus and the purpose of a company is to make a profit for shareholders, always staying within the rules of the game. Then you move on slightly and you say, yes, the focus is still on financial performance, but now in your pursuit of financial excellence, you start considering external non-financial material risks and opportunities within the ecological domain or the natural environment, such as water consumption, renewable energy, biodiversity, land use, etc., pollution. In the social domain, such as what does diversity, equity, and inclusion look like? What are labor rights? What are human rights? What are good education practices? What could those risks and opportunities mean for a company? And then in the governance, the typical one would be anti-bribery and corruption or tax transparency, ethical business practices, board diversity. So the question is, these non-financial sustainability related risks and opportunities, how could they and how do they impact on what you call your previous enterprise development or the prospects of a company, i.e. your financial position, your cash flow, your access to cash, your weighted average cost of capital, etc. So that's where you start looking at ESG from a risk and opportunity perspective. So you can see it's an outward-in approach where you consider the risks and opportunities on the financial performance of a company. Then you start moving further down the spectrum where you consider things like shared value creation, where you've got Porter and Kramer, which did the seminal piece on the purpose of a company is to perform from a financial perspective, but equally so creating value for your other stakeholders. So you can see how it's shifting from purely an outward-in consideration where you only consider the risks and opportunities on a company to starting to ask yourself, what could and are the impacts that my business decisions, my activities, and my operations have on the broader ecosystem, i.e., what does it look like when I operate within a community? How does that impact the community? How does that impact the workforce? How do I treat my suppliers? How do I treat my clients? So you can see how that is shifting. Then you move into sustainability, sustainable development, where you now have, instead of a very fixed linear consideration of your environmental performance with certain metrics and KPIs, social and governance, to a more integrated or a systemic way of seeing it. Now you start appreciating that one decision and one activity necessarily have a multiple of impacts, and it becomes a bit more complicated and complex to evaluate what the impact is from an outside-in perspective, where the risks and the opportunities impact your financial performance, but equally so, your activities and your operations on the broader environment.